Hello to the channel, welcome back everyone. Thought we'd do something a bit different, hopefully get the preview video up tomorrow, connection with international weeks etc. It is international week and as usual everyone's capitulating a wee bit about sort of classic etc. So thought it'd be a good idea just to do a different type of video. I've headed this as myself and Predictor Fi. I've had a chat with Chris about it. Unfortunately he wasn't available to come on today, so you're just gonna have to listen to me. Apologies for that, but you're just gonna have to listen to me talking about it as well. So, anyways, first thing first, I think we should just set out the background to this. So, obviously, around about sort of 5 or 6 months ago, Sorare provided notice to say that there was going to be some major changes to the platform. Everyone has had some time to prepare for that, but it has still been hard. I know I've found myself that moving on some uniques or some of the super rare cards still been pretty difficult. So, I get that there's been lots of notice and things, but maybe some things are still hitting home. The other thing is that the thresholds, etc., were still continuing right through the summer. So I think some of the stuff that's happened now has been a wee bit of a reaction from that, and obviously all the new divisions, etc. There have been some other changes this year as well, so it's worth remembering that previous seasons with classic cards, the classic cards would rise into the season, and you would have a lot of the new season cards that wouldn't come out immediately. So, there's a season where I don't think the Celtic cards came till the end of September. So that was good and bad. It was good that you had the cards from the previous season, and obviously you had a nice sort of bonus, etc., and things on them. But then it was bad if, maybe we'd sign some new players, which obviously we have just now. So it's worth remembering that there's been more changes in the platform over and above the actual changes to in-season and to classic season. We have had early access cards, been a lot of supply and everything sold as well. So anyways, thought I'd probably just do a quick video to try and address some of these points, because I think that people often do struggle a bit during international weeks, and then things become magnified. For example, there's a really good international week special, but because it needs 4 in-season cards, everybody's got a bit of the hump about that. And then because All Star only has 1 entry, as soon as people have cards left over, they automatically get a bit of sort of jealousy, etc. Now I've done my teams for this weekend already, and I can't maximise all of the entries for the in season as well. So everybody's in the same boat from that point of view, if that makes sense. Maybe some of the guys who just bought in over the summer or whatever will have like 3 entries and they'll clean up, etc. But that's not that uncommon. So to give it a bit of balance, I think for this weekend, for example, there's actually a reasonable amount on. We've got under 23s open, 3 divisions for that. Challengers open. We have the fighting special, which I don't like myself, but actually everybody voted for. And then we've got an all-star, and we've got the special as well. So actually for an international week, I think it's one of the best international weeks that I've seen. But then there's this issue with the sentiment in classic, etc. It's kind of see this coming sort of last weekend, weekend before, when you get these weekends where there's like high scoring and people are sort of grumbling that they've had a really high score and then they haven't won a card. Essence has obviously been a big factor in this as well. So you've got to remember that when you're getting essence, if you're getting into the top 25% or whatever in classic, and you're getting 10 essence or whatever, that's like almost like half a card in itself. A lot of people are getting some quite good pulls, so I don't know what all the analysis is on that, but obviously one of the issues just now is some of the cards are being held back because they've got to go into essence. Anyway, before we ramble on about it a bit more, I have got one or two things I wanted to just sort of say in terms of maybe potential solutions. Got one really good one which I've discussed with Chris, and we agree that it's a pretty good solution. So the first solution we've come up with is a classic only SO11. So the way that would work is probably pretty much you would just not allow in new season cards. You would have an SO11, you could have some subs. So if you do the numbers at the moment, if you run an all-star with 3 entries, then that would allow you to put in up to 15 cards. If you do SO11, you could have 11 cards, you could have a couple of subs, and then you could make the prize pools pretty decent. So instead of putting in 3 entries, you would put in 1 entry or one team. Now, obviously, in terms of numbers, that probably works out pretty similar, but I think that could be done in a way that's quite a fun concept. So, for example, people are quite used to 11-a-side stuff, FPL, other sites, fan team, football, actual football. They play as an 11-a-side, so you could do it in that way, and I think that'd be quite fun. You could have maximum or maybe 3 or 4 people per team. You could have an overall cap. You could have a specialist format as well. I don't know whether or not that actually would start becoming more complicated. We thought that would be a really good way of actually using up a lot of the cards. So the issue with Classic is there's a lot of cards exist, and obviously a lot of people have got a lot of cards which fall into different divisions, etc., which maybe they're struggling to pass on. So if you took that forward to this weekend for international break, rather than doing one entry into All Star, if you'd done an SO11 and you brought in some subs, maybe even give a goalie sub as well. Why not? Just have a sub for a goalkeeper, defender, midfielder, forward, and then you would be using up lots of cards, and they would all be contributing towards that. You could even run a similar type of a format over, the main weekends, etc. It could have more of the longer format as well. So if Sorare feels if they don't have enough sort of cards or good cards or whatever to give out, I think the other thing that's really quite key is that a lot of the cash has been moved from Classic and the cash has been put into in-season. So the theory behind that, obviously looking back at all the announcements, was that the in-season cards would go pretty high and they would provide good rewards for Classic. Things have changed a wee bit from that point of view. So obviously Sorare have sold a significant amount of supplies, loads of supplies sold. So for example, Kylian Mbappe's at in the 30s, which is half of what Sorare will sell. So usually they'll sell 60 rares, they'll reward 40 or the maximum, and that will be where the 100 will go. So they've sold those cards really quickly. And because of that, the cards haven't been as high as actually I thought they were going to be. So that's one of the reasons why I sort of bought into them a bit. So those cards are the prizes for the Classic, to keep it simple. The other thing was that Sorare added in reward boxes and things to in-season. So they wanted to supercharge in-season as much as possible. But again, when it was sort of promoted to people, then it was really a case of saying you'll have in-season cards and you'll buy them and you can win cash, and you might have auction credits, but then to win those cards, you have to play in Classic. So I think Classic needs a wee bit of love. The other thing that I would do, and I don't know if it's going to be possible within their budget, so said SO11, I think that's actually quite a good idea at this stage with all the cards that exist, and you could have some fun sort of formats within that, not overcomplicating it too much. I think the other issue is that people will be looking at this soon and saying, well, okay, if I buy my in-season cards, what's going to happen next season? So, people don't just buy, I bought Arda Güler today. I just buy him and think, okay, I'm just going to use him this weekend. I'm thinking about this weekend. I'm going to use him in the special. He's got a double game, but I'm buying Arda Güler because he's a young Real Madrid superstar that I want to get utility out of over a number of seasons. So obviously under 23 being there as a Classic format is good, and that helps guys who are that young. But what about all the other cards? What about your guys who are 25, 26? You think, well, I should be getting utility for the rest of their career. I really do think that Sorare are going to have to put some cash into Classic. That's my own opinion. I haven't discussed that specifically, I don't think, with Chris. I keep referring to Chris. Chris is one of the founder owners of Predictor Fi, which we've referenced in this video. It was kind of his idea as well in the SO11. So coming back to cash, I just think you're going to have to put some cash back into Classic. That's it. The overall problem without getting into all these numbers and, people come out with all their fancy spreadsheets and, Peter and MPen, they're brilliant at that stuff. But to make it really simple, what used to happen was all the cash that was given out, or all the Ethereum was given out to thresholds in Classic, and now it's been moved to in-season. There's hardly any cash in Classic, and as I said and explained earlier, it is falling down a bit now because the cards in the in-season haven't really reached ultimate price, and I don't think they have. I think that everybody will agree that a lot of the top champ stars, etc., really aren't that high. Now there is a bit of a silver lining. I mean, I don't think Sorare will continue to sell the cards as quickly as they have during the early access. I think that that's maybe more of a promotional period. So, let's see. Some of the guys, even Kasper Schmeichel, who's been probably the most popular goalkeeper and contender, they've sold about 200. So still have 400 to sell, so that's unlimited, sorry. So there's still a significant amount of cards to sell, but they're selling loads this week because, he's playing the internationals as well. I'm sure they'll sell loads before the Bratislava game with the big Champions League special and everything. So, maybe some of the top guys will continue like that, but maybe there just needs to be a wee bit of a reality check in terms of some of the actual mint rates. Sorare seem to have sold, I don't know, 9-10 million pounds worth of cards or whatever so far. That sounds really good because we're only at the 4th of September just now, and the aim is to pay out $15 million over the season. So there's plenty of time to get the rest of that money through, but it's not just about getting that money. They'll need, 30, 40, $50 million to be sold, because you've got to pay for your licenses, you've got to pay for your staff, you've got to run Sorare, you've got to do some marketing, etc. as well. So anyways, I've been sort of ranting on a bit here, and I'm just trying to think about things that might sort of help in the meantime in terms of sort of small wins, etc. I think just, if you're opening an all-star, etc., try and have something that sort of mirrors the in-season special, So if you're going to allocate $40,000 or whatever to an in-season special, just have a small proportion of that and do like a sort of classic one and put some sort of cards in there, but put a wee bit of cash in as well. Even if you're paying out podiums, you're paying out top tens or whatever. Just, people struggle to calculate what the value of a tier 5 essence pool is, or what the value of cards are or whatever. When you say to somebody, you could win $2,000 this weekend, people can compute that and they can work out how much they want to spend on the cards. So I think that just moving a very small proportion of the cash back to classic would also help out a lot. So those are the main two ideas. I'm quite open to any suggestions you've got about the sort of prospect of SO11, etc. I know people might say, well, that will suit the bigger galleries, etc. But I think you can do it in a fun way. You might have a cap in there. You might have some form of specialist rules. You might say that there's got to be a couple of players that are under a certain average. And if you say it's maximum 3 per team, okay, there's a bit of a risk that you'll have 3 guys from France, 3 guys from Spain, 3 guys from Australia against absolutely nobody or whatever. I get that, but I think you'll open up more of a fun format. In terms of classic, I think that the final thing I'm going to say in this is that I think Sorare really need to remember that a lot of the people spending this money just now and referring people on are their existing clients. So I think where this whole thing falls down a bit is, okay, it's got to be sustainable. People have got to spend money in cards every year, etc. But there's got to be an overrun where the classic cards have ongoing utility. It's not FIFA. It's not a 1 year thing. Nobody so far has signed up to Sorare thinking that their cards will just have value for 2 or 3 months. That's not what it's about. That's not the way it's been sold. That's not what collecting's about. None of that is about what's happening just this weekend or what's happening in the next couple of months. So I think that Sorare, at the very least, have got to make people believe that there's going to be ongoing utility, there's going to be reasonable competitions, and that everything is covered. I'll use the really bad example. I'm sorry for throwing it in, but they sold people Legends cards and there's no Legends competitions. That is scandalous. There is no way about it. That cannot happen. They've got to find a way to give some utility to those cards, having made people pay for them. You've got to be able to use them. You can't just say, oh, well, you can't use them anymore. Sorry about that. This is, that how does that give you any confidence in a company going forward? So if you want people to come next year or whatever, so I know we're looking ahead, but say we come next year or even just now if people feel as if it's still worth it, because in season there's good cash returns. We come next season, people say, I'm going to put my money in. You've got to be confident that you're going to put your money in, and that even if you win your money back, that those cards are still worth something over and above that, right? It's not just about winning your money back this weekend or whatever. And these arguments with people all the time, you can do 100% this weekend. So what? Like, so what if you can do 100% this weekend? You can, but you've got to work out what's the likelihood of doing 100% this weekend? How long is it going to take you to get back to around about 100%? And then also, some people are going to lose, obviously, but what your cards or whatever are going to be worth over and above that. So it's a big conundrum for Sorare. I get that, because they can't just sell a card and just keep paying out loads and loads and loads every year, because eventually they would run out of money. That makes complete and utter sense. But what you do need is a reasonable strategy of looking after existing people. The other simple solution I'd come up with this weekend is do an international special and just allow 2 classic cards in it. The issue with 4, and I'm giving you my personal opinion, I'm not going to bother with the limited one. I don't want to go and buy 4 limited cards just for internationals. However, I do have quite a lot of classic cards and some limited already. So if it was 2 and 3, I might have actually been tempted to buy a limited Arda. I'm not going to bother. Now, with Rare, I've got an entry, because I've obviously bought loads of Celtic cards, a lot of them are international players. I've also bought Real Madrid in-season collection, and I can play, and I've added their Arda Rare. So that's different. I've added that because I only needed 1 card. But my point is that it maybe just doesn't have to be as harsh. You don't have to just pretend that it's only the new season cards that's going to go in there. I mean, what's next? Are we going to have competitions next season? There's no classic cards allowed in. It's just in-season cards. Forget the classic. But I mean, that is okay as long as you say, okay, this is going to be in-season, and you actually have good classic competitions, and you just separate them. But at the moment, if you buy the new cards or you win the new cards, you can use them anywhere. So classic people are coming up against all different seasons of cards. And then they're coming up against in-season cards with the bonus, and people buying the new collections or whatever, they can still come up against them because you can use in-season and classics. So yeah, I think there's some simple tweaks that needs to be done to end this, because I've been ranting on for 20 minutes. So I'll put in some feedback about this. I haven't bothered going into any graphics. I haven't bothered getting into Sorare. I've just actually sort of dumped this and just thought, well, why don't we have a chat about it? But, what can we do to get it all sort of sorted out, etc. I don't think it's as bad as people are making out. I think that you've got to remember that in the lead up to an international break, cards usually fall anyway, because people buy into periods of demand. Guys like Mbappe, etc., they should be really in demand when you've got the big Champions League special, the Champions League classic competitions, all the utility, playing Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, that's why a lot of these cards, over and above obviously being really good, popular, but that's one of the reasons why they carry a higher price as well, because you get so many games of usage over a season. So don't judge it just now. And finally, this is all pretty new, and Sorare will have made a mess of some of it. Everybody knows. You've seen the UI, you've seen other things that have happened in the past. I'm not going to reference them all. It's not going to be perfect yet. So if you're sitting here just now and you're thinking, this isn't perfect, this isn't for me, I'm going to sell up, that's fine. That is your own choice. But given this is pretty new, and given that it might need some tweaks, or it might need some improvements, or it might need some feedback and some changes, I wouldn't really give up on it as yet. If you look at the price of your classic cards just now, you may sell them, you take that back. But I think it's possible, if you do get a couple of good weekends, or you save up your essence, etc., that you'll be able to recoup some, and hopefully Sorare will listen and they will help. So anyway, the main suggestion is SO11. I know I've rabbited on for 20 minutes, but me and Chris had a chat about that, and I thought it was actually a pretty good idea. I thought that I would like to play that format myself. It would use up more cards. You wouldn't be looking at the entrance and thinking, Sorare's only paying out to 5%, because you would have all the cards in action and playing. Obviously, it's a different value proposition to have all those cards compared to what you're going to win. But at the end of the day, if you enter free teams, you can't come first 3 times, right? You can get free good results though, so it's not quite as simple as that. But you know what I mean. It just be good to make people feel they're still getting utility out of their cards. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now. That's 20 minutes, and obviously, if I'm talking myself, that's quite a lot for me to be rabbiting on. Please give me any comments. Give me any feedback. Give me your ideas. People come along quite a lot and they propose ideas. You could have, say, a threshold competition and give out some essence, etc. I don't know how that all fits in with the model, but people come to me all the time and say, this is an idea, why don't you propose that to Sorare? So let's do that. Let's try and enjoy things. Don't get too down about things. It is international break. It's shite. I don't like it either. But we do have some good competitions this weekend, whether or not you believe so or not. In terms of Classic, there's definitely some good competitions this weekend, and there's a lot of good stuff coming soon. We'll end in customary fashion, because we always do. Good luck and go fuck.